the Real Hustle Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Chris Kiblin. Real hustle, real people, real results. You can help support our podcast by checking out our Real Hustle gear. We have t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, and more. The Real Hustle gear is great for the gym or even a night out on the town. Let everyone know that you are a real hustler willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. You can check us out right now at realhustle.com, and right now we're offering all of our listeners 10% off when you use the promo code podcast at checkout. Once again, that is podcast to receive 10% off your entire order. realhustle.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Hustle Podcast. My name is Chris Kiblin, and I will be your host. We speak to entrepreneurs, and we go along the journey of what it takes to be a successful business owner. So if you're looking for knowledge on how to be successful, then this is the show for you. Today in the house, we have Andrew Haddad. He's the owner of Haddad LLC, correct?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Andrew, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
So Andrew, why don't you kind of tell us, because you do a lot of different things. You're very involved with the, in our area. I mean, in the neighborhood, in the community. You do a television show. You're very big into coaching, and that's kind of one of the things that I want to talk to you about, because you have a great coaching company. You were actually my mentor, and helped me tremendously. Mm-hmm. So why don't we kind of start there, the coaching business, and then we'll go into some of the other stuff that you do. So tell us a little bit about your coaching business. How did you get started? That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in real estate for 16 years. I've been in the coaching industry for about 10 years, and I'm a lifelong student of growth and development and neuroscience and helping other people at a really high level. I started off with simply teaching and training real estate agents. So that's where I was at. And then coaching. So I worked for one of the biggest coaching companies in the world, MAPS Coaching through Kelly Williams. And, it lit a fire inside of me of that feeling when they get it and they get the results, and the passion that I have for helping people and coaching people. And it's not even seeing my results, it's seeing their results and being able to celebrate in that. It's better than anything in the world. It's better than money, it's better than fame, it's better than success. It is feeling like you're truly on the right path and leading a big life. And I believe that I was continually drawn into this. So I didn't necessarily start out in coaching.
Right.
And I was led into that. And it did come through real estate, and it's evolved from there. So, yeah.
I can tell you because, just to kind of backtrack a little bit about myself and me and you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think you're probably one of I don't know a better coach personally than you.
That.
So and the thing is what it takes to be a coach and really love what you do, I think it takes a specific individual. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why. Because when I came to you wanting to be a coach, right, what had happened was, I wrote my book, Own Your Day. Then I started getting people who asked me, hey, can you coach me? I'm like, and I never thought about coaching, right? I was like, yeah, I guess I can. I was like, but I have no idea what the heck I was doing.
Sure.
And I was like, so when I got into it, I was like, that's when I came to you, right? What I soon found out, though, is it takes a very special person to really understand and develop people, right? And it wasn't me. I soon found out that, the coaching thing sounded like a great idea for me, but I think the problem is for me is first of all, I'm not very patient, and I just didn't have that personality, right, that it takes to be a coach like you are. And that's what I find so admiring about you, is because I sit here and I watch how you coach, and I see the results that you get from your people. Mm-hmm. And I'm very instantaneous type of person, and you can see it coming, and you see it so differently than I see it. And you're such a student of being a coach and learning all the different things, and it's just like, wow. And that's really, what I really respect about you, because not everybody can, I mean, I guess everybody could try to be a coach, but not everybody's really successful at it like you are and like what you've developed. Because I know you've gone through a lot of different training. I know we had a conversation about one of your training programs. Tell me a little bit about your training and your background.
Yeah, definitely. And before I go there, Chris, you got to give yourself some grace, man. It's interesting. In the coaching world, there is no set agenda. There is no, this is exactly how you do this. Coaching is always in the present moment. So the more barriers and the more structure that you have set up, it actually does a disservice, because guess what? You're not creating space for the real coaching to happen. And so one of the things I've learned, and you're an awesome coach, and your energy and your drive and all of that, that's what leads you to be successful. That's why we're here right now, right?
Right.
So, give yourself some grace, and at the same time, there's no one size fits all. Absolutely not. It's literally finding your superpower, and let's talk about that later, but it's really finding your superpower and tapping into that, because nobody in this world is going to be able to coach like you do. Nobody's going to coach like I do. And so really it's surrendering to who you truly are, finding that superpower, and then just giving it everything you got.
Yeah, I saw that in your bio. That's your superpower, and one of that is your coaching, right?
Yeah, well, it's I stay humble. I don't like to brag and all that kind of stuff. My superpower is connecting with people at a very deep level, and a lot of it came through self-discovery. A lot of it came through training, and at the same time, I realized that I only can have my superpower when I give other people the right for their superpower to shine through. And that's where the magic is.
Right.
If you could come to every coaching call without any expectations that, hey, we got to achieve this, and this, guess what? You've created an open door for unlimited possibility. And that's where the magic happens with people. Because like you and I'm impulsive. I'm probably more impulsive than you are. The more we want everything to go our way, and this is the definition of success, and this is how we should show up, and this is how this coaching call should happen. It took a long time, but I discovered that was my kryptonite. That was the thing that held me back the most, because I wanted it so bad.
Maybe that's my problem.
To be so good. Yeah. But it's I'll tell you what, it's freeing when you can just let down all barriers, be real with people, and then just create that space for the magic to happen, for the possibilities to happen, because that's where the true coaching happens. And it's not what I'm saying, it's the space that I create that allows the clients to really live into their possibilities.
That's pretty awesome. So going back to the training, because you've been through some pretty strenuous training. I think you took a 2-year program and really got into deep with it.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, it all started 15 years ago when I went to Anthony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within. Okay. And I've always had a fire inside of me. However, that's what really ignited it. And that was 15 years ago. Had a lot of training throughout the years. I've always been driven to that through landmark education, through MAPS coaching with Keller Williams. They definitely put you through the ringer as far as the training. However, I found a really great passion in neuroscience. And so I followed that path into becoming a master practitioner in neurolinguistics, and the programming of that. And then I took it even farther and became a trainer of trainers in neurolinguistics, which, there's so much power in there alone. And it's knowledge is power. And then continued education through Keller Williams, continued education through other coaching formats. The last thing I've completed a couple years ago was through the ICF and the IPEC coaching. So it's an incredible degree that's recognized all over the world. It's the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. And that was about a 1.5-year program, hundreds of hours, all of that. And the crazy thing is, and I want to share this, through all of these different forms of coaching, after going through it, and I have a lot more that's going to come, is they are all interconnected at one way, shape, or form. It's so cool. It's almost like we all want the same thing. We want transformation. We want to be able to connect with clients at a deeper level. There's always different ways to do it in different angles. So the one thing I found most fascinating about my journey through education and what I look forward to most is how to find the connection, how the dots all connect through all these different trainings and practices to the core of why we're here to begin with. Like, what are we looking to achieve, right?
Right.
You know, how can I help you,
So let's go back to the neuroscience part of it. Explain that a little bit. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm interested to know more about that. What kind of training, what do you look for, and how does that work?
Yeah, definitely. So, it's neuro-linguistic programming, and I like to just dive into the neuroscience of it. There is no doubt that 95% of what we do, think, and feel every single day is literally at the unconscious level. So, consciously, we are, as far as thoughts that we have every day, we have as humans 55 to 60,000 thoughts a day.
Right.
Do you know how many of those thoughts are the same thoughts as yesterday? About 50,000 thoughts. About 95% of everything we think, do, and say at any given moment is literally a deep program that we live day after day after day. That's why when I learned that coaching from a real estate standpoint, I could coach at the conscious level. Here's how to build out a plan. Here's how to strategize. Here's how to do this. That's great, and I will still coach because there's power in that. However, can you imagine when you tap into the 95% of somebody, that the deep programming and making changes there? I always say that making a slight change and impacting you at your unconscious level, that 95%, is far more powerful than creating, a bigger change in that little 5%.
Yeah.
And so we operate, we're computers, we are programmed, our behaviors, our personalities, things we do every day. And the crazy thing is we don't even know it. We just do it because it feels right. It feels common. However, when you can really tap into the neurosciences, how our brains operate, right? How we perceive things, our perceptions, our reframing, how we're conditioned for different responses, why it makes sense for us to do and say the same thing every single day. That's all programming. And I like to think of us as humans as we operate mainly in a default mode. We are operating in default because that's how we were raised. That's our socioeconomic status. That's our religion. That's our experiences when we were childhood. That's our experiences growing up. That's our wins, our failures as an adult. Is all these things that have happened through our life. We are literally operating at default mode. So what I get most passionate about, I'm sorry I'm going off on this, but what I get most passionate about is in the neuroscience is when you can really dive deep into the belief and the meaning and the values that people have and why we do certain things unconsciously. Holy cow, it doesn't take years for transformation. That's what's powerful about neuroscience. You can have moments. Everything can change in a moment, and you can have instant transformation.
That's amazing.
And it's not all easy, you dive deep into a lot of pain, you dive deep into a lot of, underlying beliefs that have actually served you at a high level, even though they're not good. They've actually served you. They've protected you from our basic human needs. However, when you can open that door, and when clients, and I know I worked on this with you, is when clients can really see the potential of, gosh, this is what I have. This is why I'm operating because of this, this, and this. And here is a whole different perspective of what's possible based on my past programming. And we can literally reprogram our minds to serve us at a high level. And so that's the neuroscience. I'm not a doctorate. I'm not, however, I've been through the training. I've coached on it for years. I work with Dr. Matt James, who is one of the premier teachers of this. And I've traveled all over the nation to learn this and gather more information. And guess what? I'm still learning. However, it's a fun, a fascinating, and it's a very powerful dimension to work in the field of coaching.
Yeah, that's interesting, because if you figure out what that is and just figure out, I mean, just imagine what you can do to change somebody's life. And I think it's a whole different way, right?
Yeah.
It's more, it sounds to me, it's more detailed oriented and really just digging deep and really figuring out, okay, all right, what's this underlying problem, and just figuring it out, going from there.
Right.
So as far as the coaching business, I mean, I know you coach a lot of people, you coach real estate agents, but you're also part owner of a Keller Williams, and you also are part of a mega team.
Yep.
And so kind of expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, definitely. I've been very blessed, like you. I'm a hustler, right?
Right.
And so, being in real estate for as long as I have, I've been with Keller Williams for 11 years, and I got the opportunity to invest in a market center, which is a new Keller Williams franchise, which has been absolutely phenomenal. And then I had the special gift to be able to join Zargami Group, which is, the premier, most outstanding team that I've ever come across. And it starts with the people, David and Tony Zargami. They are literally the most incredible people in the world. And it goes back to who you surround yourself with is what you become. And so they've taught me so much, and just being around that culture and that core, I mean, literally, I'm a better person just by being around them. I'm a better person just by being in our market center at Keller Williams. And I don't know what's going to happen in the future. However, I do know one thing. It's who we surround ourselves with at a very high level is who we are going to become. And guess what? We all have a choice in that.
Exactly.
Even if it takes major changes, in our life.
Yeah, I've always been that. I always sit there and when I talk to people, and even when you're doing some coaching and you talk about it, you can look at it and say, okay, who do you interact with the most, or who do you surround yourself with?
Sure.
Right? Is it people that are going to help you or hurt you? And so I always looked at it from that standpoint. Is like, I want to be people that are like-minded, like me, right? I seem to excel when I'm with people like that, because they bring you up. You just like yourself, right? Being around you, being around the Zaragamis, being around some of these people that just, they have high expectations of themselves, but they also want to bring other people with them, and that's the thing. And if you want to grow and you want to be successful, look who you surround yourself with, because I totally agree with that. You can see it that if somebody's bringing you down, and I hate to say it, but if they're always negative, or if they're always not willing to put in the effort or whatever it might be, they start sucking you down there with them. And so, and it's tough to get out of that, so I'm always big on bringing that apart. So now you're also, because one of the things is that I know that you're part of the Zaragami Group. You've been doing real estate for quite a while. And so what drives you to keep that going, and what, as far as where do you see yourself, going from there?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be very transparent with you, Chris. Real estate I love. I really do. I love being a part of one of the biggest financial decisions of people's lives. I love being able to be that person in the middle of a transaction that is making things happen that weren't going to happen anyways, and really taking a stand for my clients. I mean, that's just phenomenal. However, deep down inside, the passion for coaching has always been there. So one of the biggest struggles I've had is really being able to find time to devote to the real estate world, and then also at the same time growing and expanding a coaching world that I love, so much. So, what I do is, I keep moving forward. And, one of the biggest things is just coming from curiosity. I don't know how the next year is going to be. I don't know how the next 5 years is going to be or turn out, but I know this, that number one, if I surround myself with the right people, I never lose a passion for growth and ongoing education. I stay humble throughout the process, and, I keep moving forward, and, and my goals are clear. My path is clear. My North Star is clear. I know whatever happens a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 or 10 years from now, I'm going to be exactly where I need to be. And the coolest thing and the most exciting thing about life is, it unveils itself as you go.
Right.
We don't have to have it all figured out right now. And there's a lot of freedom involved in that. And guess what? I'm okay with that.
No, that's, and that's one of the things is like, we just don't know. And that's the hard part. And I think that was the hard part with me, even coaching, right? The mortgage business for me is what pays the bills, right?
Sure.
And I do know when I was coaching that it was very time consuming.
Oh, totally.
And so it was one of those things that I was just like, look, I mean, I'm putting so much time into this. It started taking away a little bit from the mortgage business.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that was also the other part that I was having a trouble transitioning with.
Sure.
And so, it was like, okay, I like doing this. I do like helping people. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I can't forget where my bread and butter was.
Sure.
So, so that was part of the other reason why I decided to take a step back. Maybe someday, once we get to a certain point and I'm not doing mortgages as much,
Sure.
maybe I'll jump back into coaching business.
Right.
But that's the tough part because, coaching is very demanding. You have a lot of people that are counting on you, that want you to help them, and so like, if they're struggling or they're going through something, they need you to be available. And so like, which is tough when you're trying to run other businesses, and I know you do other stuff because you're super involved in the community, and you've got all kinds of groups. So tell us about what you do in the community and some of the stuff that you do, because like, I mean, again, I don't know how you do it all.
Yeah. Well, here, I want to touch base on something that you just said, how difficult sometimes it is to balance both. One thing that, at one point with MAPS coaching, I had 30 clients. I'd coach 10 clients a day. I mean, and it's exhausting, it's time consuming, and of course you love your clients. However, here's what I've recognized, and one of my biggest lessons of just being a coach is there are some clients that you're going to be a great fit for, and there are some clients that you simply will not. And being able to recognize that up front and being honest and true to say, hey, Chris, listen, I would love to help you, however, I just don't feel I'm the right person to, and let me make a couple suggestions. One of the most powerful things I've ever learned, and it's interesting, being on coaching calls, it's a two-way street. I'm going to pour all my energy into them, and they're going to pour their energy into me. So when I was at a point where I had 30 clients, at any given time, absolutely, it was clear as day. The clients that were sucking the life out of me and the clients that were filling me up. And guess what? Because it goes two ways, guess who I had more impact with? The clients I was filling up, that were filling up me. So that's the powerful relationship in coaching. And when I recognized that specific thing, it made everything more balanced. I don't need to coach 30 people. Right now, I have 8 clients, and I'm very specific as far as who I work with. And I'm very, happy to say, hey, listen, if I'm not the right fit, it's totally fine. And I'm always going to give them a recommendation. So finding that relationship, because it is a two-way street with coaching, it's not just one person helping another person.
Exactly.
You're helping each other. You're in this partnership for the long haul. That's powerful, and guess what? That frees up all the time for other things you do.
Right, absolutely.
So I'll answer that question. Yeah, so just being involved in the community. I've been in Sarasota for 30 years. I absolutely love it. My wife is a teacher at Ashton Elementary. Of course, once my daughter, I have 2 daughters, 8 years old and 4.5 years old. Once my daughter got into Ashton Elementary, my teacher was like, hey, there's a club called the Dedicated Ashton Dads, and I think you would be great for it. And of course, me, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And so, I've been with the Dedicated Ashton Dads. I'm the president of that group, and it's phenomenal, And so then I get to bring another part of my passion, which is wanting to be a great husband, wanting to be a great dad. I can do that and make that part of my life. And guess what? It complements everything else in my life. From coaching to business to all of that.
All right.
So I always say, choose a career that is going to be the lifestyle that you want. Don't make your career a different lifestyle than what you need. And so being able to merge those things two together, it's true. You find something you're passionate about that you love, you'll never work a day of your life. Is it easy? Absolutely not. However, at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the year, and the end of a conversation, coaching conversation, if you can look at somebody in the eye and know that they're going to walk away a better person, empowered and stronger than when they came and sat down, you've done your job.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, I really believe, and I'm a true believer, if you need to love what you do in order, never work a day in your life. And
Sure.
we've heard that many times. Because if you don't love what you do, then you're not going to love any of your aspects of your life.
Sure.
Right. It's very tough for you to go to a job that you don't like, because you're
Right.
just going to spill over into your
Of course.
relationships, your marriage, your children, everybody else.
Sure.
So like, that's the thing. You really do need to have that, and I know that you're a big believer in that. And then also you are, you do a TV show as well, correct? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that get started?
Yeah, that's, so back in 2014, it was funny. I had a friend, old partner that I worked with, and he's like, I know this studio producer at ABC, they're looking to start a new show. And he's like, I think you would be good for it. So I interviewed for this job back in 2014. It's with ABC 7, our local ABC network here, and they're starting what they call the Suncoast View, which is like ABC's The View.
Okay, gotcha.
And they want to start a real estate show, and so literally back then we started what we call Selling the Suncoast, which still goes on today, and it's phenomenal. So I've been doing that for a long time, and I get the privilege to be able to feature people's listings on TV, not just Keller Williams, all brokerages in our area. I get to, be the local real estate analyst. We do a lot of market research. And so, being able to give good advice, updates to our consumers out there is important. And I'll be honest with you, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
I've seen it. It looks like you have fun up there.
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of this stuff. And how often does it air?
Yeah, so it used to be every single week.
Okay.
So now it's every other week, and we get called, for special, hey, give us a COVID update, of how that's impacting the real estate, or this thing sold, or this thing sold. So more of it's probably every other week, and then kind of I'm at call. So if they need something on site or something like that, I'll jump in. Sadly, I've missed going into the studio because of COVID and everything.
Right.
However, they do a really good job about still making it work. And it's interesting. I want to share this one aspect with that. There's a lot of people that can pay to be on TV and all that kind of stuff. And, with all respect to all companies, I've been asked to pay for my position as the local real estate analyst on ABC multiple times, and I absolutely refuse. Do you know why? Because the moment I start paying for that, I'm not a service to everybody in the community. And so I wanted to be an impartial, non-paid source and service to the community that can operate over all brokerages, not just a Keller Williams franchise, not just a single team. So I've loved that I've stood firm on that. And it's, I've lost my spot a couple times, and I always get back on and stuff like that. And so, all in all, I think if you have good intentions with anything, it's going to serve you at a very high level.
No, I totally agree. And that's the thing is like they're coming to you for a reason. And obviously you're very good at what you do and you're very well spoken. So and TV is a big part of that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, so you got that going on. Now, what did you do? Like when you first got into coaching, how did you get your clients? So tell us a little bit about that. Did you struggle at first? What kind of advice can you give to our listeners to really kind of dig deep of what they're trying to build?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Here's what's cool. It's not like I woke up one day and I said, I'm gonna be a coach and I'm gonna go get myself some clients. That definitely did not happen.
Right.
It started through a general passion in teaching and just being there for people in the office. And so people would just come to me for advice. Like they come to you. That's how you started yours.
Right.
And you're like, you love it. You love being able to be there for people and hear them out. That's where it started. And then teaching and being able to train classes and then going back to being in the right environment. It just organically came out of that until it was clear as day that, this is something that, that I want to pursue at a high level.
Right.
At a high level. And so then I did make the decision to, at the time, this is like back in 2015, I had my own real estate business going, I had my own team and all that, and it was very successful and I loved it. And at that moment, I decided, if I'm going to go in and do this, I got to go all in. So I remember that year specifically, it would require me to travel, I think it was like 15 weeks of the year,
Oh,
just to
wow.
get all these different certifications to really do this at a high level. And so, obviously I worked with David and Tony Zargami, and they were amazing, and our offices were next door. And I was like, gosh, how can I make this work? Because for me to manage a real estate business and to travel that much, it's just, I didn't see the possibility. And so that's kind of how I joined them. I was like, hey, you know what? They have a system that's proven, that's successful. What if I just plug into a system that already works, be able to still run my real estate business, but at a very high leveraged, aspect, and be able to pursue my passion? So one big takeaway for me on that is when things seem too big or too impossible to manage everything, my question is always go back to leverage. Who do you have in your world? What resources do you have? And what would it look like if you were highly leveraged in a way that you could have everything you want? And
Right.
so I do coach a lot around that as far as what does it look like? Because, when things are big and you're excited about this, and however you have real life responsibilities, you're the breadwinner of your family, but however you want to follow your passion, sometimes that closed door is more open than you've ever realized, and you just have to think differently, and leverage is a big key to that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I saw is you created your own training programs. You speak. You go out and speak, and I don't know how much you've been doing that since COVID. But tell us a little bit about the training, and tell us, what's the biggest audience you've spoke to? And
Sure,
give
absolutely.
us a little bit about that.
So, Keller Williams is always, a big training company and stuff. And so we always have classes, from 10 to 30 people, and just speaking opportunities and things like that. And they have the most phenomenal training program ever. There's no doubt about that. However, I got really passionate about, writing some of my own programs. And so I wrote a program called Breaking Through Barriers, and it's exactly what it is. It's breaking through our own limiting beliefs, our own barriers that hold us back from being everything we want to be, that we know we can be. And so I've had the opportunity to teach that, at various market centers. I've had the opportunity to teach in front of crowds of over 100 people at our local real estate association. And I find a lot of passion in being able to create things like that. So I'm really excited for what the future holds. I feel like I'm really tapping in at a high level to some new training aspects. I'll give you a little sneak peek. It's there's something really big I'm working on regarding the core 5, and I do believe that there's these 5 core pillars that are all interconnected. And it's the basis for everything that we want to do in life. And it's from curiosity to communication to connection, right? To commitment and to confidence. Like all these things interact at a very high level. You could have somebody that has the best confidence in the world. However, if they can't connect with people or a crowd, where does that leave them? So it's with all these different pillars that I love. It's we work on all of those to take them at a high level. It doesn't matter if it's communication in your marriage, relationships, your business, or your future. All of these things coming from curiosity, being able to have the confidence, having the courage to step up and say things that you weren't otherwise going to say. All these are growth development opportunities. So I wanted to give you a sneak peek that's coming down the line.
That's pretty cool,
And
yeah.
we're just finalizing things now.
Nice. So with that being said, so you've been doing that. You do in front of people. You speak. What do you think your biggest achievement is, if you had to give yourself one?
I would say my biggest achievement is making it this far. Because I know throughout the years, I definitely didn't have all the answers, and I've made a tremendous amount of mistakes on all levels. And so I would probably say my biggest achievement is making it this far. And being married to the most wonderful woman in the world, having a beautiful family, and the colleagues and friends that I've, been very privileged to surround myself with, that's my biggest achievement.
That's awesome.
And the truth is, Chris, nothing else really matters beyond that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, the thing is like, half the stuff that we do, half the things that we do, I mean, it's really about family. It's about the people you surround yourself with, like you said, your friends, everybody, because that's, when you look back at your life and you just look at things and you say, okay, all right, where have I been or who have I met? And these are the people that were part of it. And you look at it and you say, well, those are the things you remember. I remember when I was younger, I was very like, I need to buy this, I need to buy that. But then as I started getting older, I started realizing I don't remember those things anymore.
Sure.
But what I do remember is the memories.
Yeah.
Or the things that have happened, or the sequence of things that have happened. And I think that's really what's important. And I think that's really what you kind of need to build, right?
Sure.
There's experiences that you've had, and we can look at it from the real estate standpoint, from the mortgage standpoint, is that when I help somebody, especially a first-time home buyer, and they're sitting at the closing table, and you just help them buy their first home, that's an experience they'll never forget.
Oh, of course.
And that's the thing that I think where it comes back to loving what you're doing.
Sure.
And, and it does. Those are the memory things. Those are the things that people will remember, and those are the things that you're proud of.
Sure.
All the other stuff, it's great, and we do it. But that's what I think really matters the most for us.
I think as we continue with our journey of self-development, which is really self-awareness, I think that onion continues to peel back, and we become more in touch with what does matter in life. And I was just like you. I was, bought my first house, making some money, feeling really great. However, that doesn't really
last.
It doesn't last.
Doesn't last.
Nope. And you just find this this intrinsic, pleasure from helping people at a really deep level. And one of my favorite quotes is, in order to find yourself, you have to lose yourself in the service of others, and that's where it's at right there. And so that's where I find my most, the most pleasure in my life. So
I'll give you a little history of the podcast.
Yeah.
So the reason I wanted to do this, and the reason I do it it's mostly entrepreneurs, right? So this is business owners, is so they could share their experience. And I wanted people to share who they are, and I wanted people to share what they've gone through. Because I haven't had one person that's been here on a podcast yet that hasn't had some type of struggle, that hasn't realized what they've gone through and how they appreciate where they are now.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted people to hear, wow, they went through this, or they are human, or hey, they just didn't have success, right? Because a lot of times people will see people as being successful, but they don't know the story. All of a sudden they have this successful business, but they don't know the backstory of it. Oh, well, he must be doing well because he's got this or this, or he's doing this or whatever. But the thing is, though, getting to know the person in a podcast situation is such a different way of sharing what you're doing that you just don't get anywhere else. There's no website, there's no nothing to hear what you're saying and hear the feelings that you have. And that's the reason I started this. It's because I wanted people to understand that there's a lot of people out there just like them that are going through a lot of the same things that they're going through. And it's not just the end of it and just be like, okay, well, they just got there because of, who they just see this part of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to see what they've gone through, how they've been through it. And that's really what drove me to do these.
That's awesome, Chris.
So
and you are putting out such a great resource to people as
so
well.
And I wanted to give back. This was my way also of giving back to the community and really show what people are out there, what people are doing for the community. I mean, our country was built off of small businesses and really putting it out there. And that's really kind of why I wanted to do this particular type of show. Is because, a lot of people just don't understand the sacrifice that it takes. And, or they're going through the same thing right now, but they feel like giving up. So
you want to know what I've gone through? you want me to spill it all?
You can tell me if you want, and it's if you kind of got something else you want to add to it.
So here's the thing. For me to get to where I'm at right now, it's an absolute blessing because I made a lot of mistakes, and I fought a lot of battles that were stronger than me. And it took me a long time to realize depression ran in our family for generations. And it's something that I've suffered with and I was very embarrassed about for years, even in high school and getting my career started. And it was a major impact on things. And I hid it very well because people that know me would say, you know, I'm the happy-go-lucky, energetic, lighten up a room kind of person, you know, super positive and all that kind of stuff. And in the back end, you know, here he is struggling with depression. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I recognized that depression was actually one of the greatest gifts that I was ever given. It has helped me develop my superpower to be able to be empathetic and compassionate and really connect with people at a deep level, and to be able to create a safe place for people to open up and not feel judged. So it's interesting, as one of my, you know, biggest struggles in my life have become one of the greatest assets in my life. You know, I'll just tell you, it took 15 years to find that out.
Wow.
You know, and maybe I wasn't ready to find that out before. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot of struggles. I mean, I think everybody's going through a lot of different things. You know, I've fought, you know, battles with addiction and, you know, being compulsive, you know, being, you know, just completely vested in my work and, you know, so I'm as human as they come. And I guess my biggest thing is, you know, when you can finally confront all that stuff, really open up and really talk about where you failed or what your challenges are, believe it or not, underneath all of that is where your real power is. And
Totally
guess
agree.
what? You know, people that are out there that are trying to find, like, gosh, what am I passionate about? And, you know, what direction am I going to go? Believe it or not, the answer is right inside of them. It's just it's underneath a lot of pain. It's underneath a lot of struggle. And when they find that, it's not only part of the recovery process, however, it's part of your inspiration. It's part of your gift to everybody else. And so that's definitely been one of my biggest struggles throughout my life. And I can tell you, I'm not there yet, man. I got a lot of work to do. I got a long path ahead of me. And at the same time, I'm up for the challenge. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm completely tapped into who I was supposed to be. And, you know, that if you can look at pain and struggling and battles as, you know, as one of your greatest assets, you know, what if all of that was a requirement for you to get from A to B? You know,
Yep.
We can push that aside for as long as we want because it feels good and the public doesn't have to see it and you don't have to confront what's really there, some big issues. At the same time, what if you had to go through that? What if that was the requirement to get you on the other side?
I totally believe that because I went through it. I mean, I've gone through it. I've had my ups and downs. I've had, you know, I mean, what was it? 2014. I mean, I put in my book, I lost our house. I mean, you know, and just lost everything. And once you go through some of these struggles, because things change, you know, you just weren't anticipating, or you go through some of that stuff, it's like, all right, what do I need to do to never go back to that? Or how do I make sure this never happens again?
Sure.
And so, like, that was one of the things I was just like, I'm just not going to live that way anymore. And so, like, I just came back and said, I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to figure this out because I was put on earth to do more. And that's kind of how I got through it. I mean, I've had my ups and downs. I mean, we've been, you know, we all have our struggles.
Sure.
And I really think it's, you know, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, there's so many people, you know, you hear it all the time. There's a lot of struggles at the beginning, and until they figure out what makes it work. Yeah. And that's really what makes people better. And it really does. And then as soon as they start seeing that little bit of success, they're like, okay, how do I keep this going? How do I keep building upon this? Sure. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah. There's something big. I want to just make sure I don't miss this. That, you know, one of my biggest takeaways through just my experiences and my coaching, and something that I coach, you know, very heavily on, it's that distinction between, you know, cause and effect. It's the distinction between being empowered by something or being a victim of something. And so, you know, with regards to what you said, you know, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. However, we always know, you know, how we can show up for that. And even through everything that I've been through and a lot of, you know, current challenges and stuff like that, I have directly chosen to not be a victim of that, because once I choose to be a victim of anything, guess what? I've given all my power away. However, you can take ownership of something. It could be your fault or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It could be your fault. It may not. That doesn't matter though.
Exactly.
You're taking ownership of what's going to happen moving forward. And that's a very powerful place to be. And a lot of people that I coach, the easy way out, what feels good is, it's not my fault.
Right.
It didn't
Somebody
happen to me.
else's fault.
It's the market,
Right.
It was that person,
it
it was those clients. It was, this
whatever
election, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever people want to get into, and they can literally hang on to that victim card. However, that's to their demise.
Right.
And there's such freedom when you can get into that empowerment mode, taking responsibility for things, even if it's not your fault, doesn't matter. It gives you the power to move forward and become stronger and more influential and more inspirational and live your life better. So I'm a big advocate of that.
I really believe it's all mind, like a lot of it's mindset.
Oh, it's 100%.
You
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's the mindset that you put in yourself. Okay, do you get up and believe whatever you're doing and it's going to happen today?
Yeah.
Yesterday was yesterday, live today for today.
Yeah.
And, you go through that and you figure out, okay, all right, yeah, yesterday sucked. All right, how can I change that?
Sure.
Last week sucked. How do I change it? Last
Yeah.
month sucked. How do I change it? You got to get yourself out of that pattern.
Sure.
And you got to figure out, okay, what do I do to change it? Because we're always going to have something that's going to come up. We just
Sure.
don't know.
Right.
Things are going to change. And when they happen, it's like, all right, yeah, that sucked, but I can't stop. I can't just give up, right? I built too much for this, or I've gone too far for this.
Sure.
And, and so how do you adjust?
Yeah.
And that's all mindset.
It is. Well, that's what's powerful about coaching too. I thought it was, it was good to have coaching clients for 5 years, it means you're a good coach, but I'm not of that mindset anymore. You get coaching when you need coaching. You're going through something really big, talk to somebody. Yeah. And it's not permanent. Everything's temporary. Get help, whether it's a therapist or a doctor or a coach or, some advocate. Get help when you need the help. And guess what? It'll get you through that, and you'll be stronger on the other side. There's people that carry baggage for 10 to 20 years.
Exactly.
Imagine being able to release that baggage in a matter of a month. What possibilities are open for you then? So that's where coaching is very powerful, right?
Yep,
you're saving people's lives.
Yep, I agree. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. It was awesome.
I appreciate it, Chris.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to all of our channels, and we'll see you next time.